Hello everyone, the Trickster Ninja here, and today I'm going to be showing you my deck list profile for MetalGarurumon X Antibody. Honestly, in my personal opinion, this deck is definitely tier 1. It did really well for me, it's done really well for me so far. Um, really can't complain about this deck at all. I know it does have some rough matchups with just Black X Antibody, but that's really almost any deck in this format, because Black X Antibody is just a house. But I believe this deck definitely can stand contention with it. Definitely a 50-50 matchup. Just whoever sees their pieces first, and whoever, just OTKs first, you win. But no further ado, I'll go ahead and get into the deck list. So first, I only run the 4 eggs. In this kind of format, you almost never get to your 5th egg, and honestly, I would rather just have the consistent 1000 DP buff over having the Demi Vmon with 8 cards or more than have the 1000 DP buff. You're going to consistently have this go off, and more than likely you're never going to reach into your 5th egg. At least so far, I haven't really went into having problems with the 5th egg, because normally you kill your opponent or you are killed by the time you even get to like your 3rd egg. So 4 eggs, I think that's fine. If the meta starts to change up, then you can possibly go up to 5. But right now, this is just consistent. It's worked. No problems with that. And next up, we'll go into the rookies here. First, we'll have the BT9 Goblins. He's just one of your more generic searchers. He searches basically your entire deck. He'll grab any Gurumon and Omnimon, not X Antibody. He just he searches your deck and he gets you your pieces you need in order to win the game. So definitely, was thinking of running 4 of this card at first. But you have so much search power that I've kind of waned down to 3 being enough, because, like I said, you've searched so many times that, it's 3 of is just fine. And then next is the 2 of the starter deck 8 Goblins. The Inheritable is just amazing. Like, obviously it's an 8 cards or more and then gain 1000 DP, which gaining DP in this deck really helps it get over and not have to use its inheritables to save it in battle is often. So having a DP boost like this, I definitely was running 3 of this, but cut down on it to make room for more other Goblins rookies. I know the DP gain is great, but you do have the inheritables to save it from battle, so definitely can mess with the ratios here. We're playing the 1 of EX1 Goblins. Now, it's the main reason for this is just its inheritable is okay. It searches your other Goblins or a Tamer. And the thing is about adding a Tamer is that you kind of want to see them. That way you have enough memory to go for game. So being able to search another Goblin, like a Goblin X Antibody, or just another Tamer card that will help you push your plays, it's just really good to have as a 1 of. So I definitely like it as a 1 of, maybe 2 of max, but otherwise, really good card. Then we have our little bit of on play, BT1 Goblin, just to draw a card. Drawing cards in this deck is really needed. Plus, just being able to just play this and draw a card to keep up with not reducing your hand size at all is also really good. That way you can possibly play this, draw 1, and then Goblin X Antibody to search. That way you're just getting closer and closer to that 8 card threshold, which is really nice. And then last but not least, we have the 4 Goblins X Antibody. He is another searcher for you. He also can grab the X Antibody option card, which is amazing in this deck, so definitely want to max out on this, and plus it's just a free Digivolve on top of any Goblins, so you definitely want to max out on this because it searches and a free Digivolve. Plus it can proc your Cool Boy if you need it early, so really good utility there. Definitely would not pass up on that. And next after that we'll get into our level 4s. First, we have the BT9 Gurumon. Now, this one is really good because it has the also all turns DP boost, which I find to be really good in this deck. It has come up multiple times, especially where it makes your Gurumon go from 6k to 7k on your opponent's turn. That way, if they have some kind of deletion effect that is 6k or less, it already breaks that threshold and makes it to where your Gurumon will survive going into your next turn, which is just really good. And plus, it also gains a memory if it has a Goblins and Digi-Evolution sources, which makes it a 1 cost to Digivolve. Definitely a really good inclusion. You could go down on this or go up to 4 on it. It's just really personal preference on ratios, but I think the next Gurumon is the one that you really want to kind of just max out on, just because of the card draw, which is the promo Gurumon. This one is definitely getting up there in price. This is what makes the deck pretty expensive. But otherwise, it definitely is expensive for a good reason. Just having the when attacking, if it has a Gurumon in name, you draw 1. I mean, drawing free cards is always really good, especially if you need to see your pieces. And then where it's not once per turn, you just get amazing value if the Digimon on top of it doesn't die in security in battle. So definitely really good. And then of course we're maxing out on the Gurumon X Antibody. Its inheritable is what makes this deck really good. Makes it just feel so good to swing into security and it survive a check, swing in again, and then it may hit something, any big guy, and you can just trash 2 of the same levels and you survive that battle. Really good. Definitely just holds this deck together, and you really want to see it in your stack. It feels really bad when you don't see it. So normally you try not to swing until you have that card ready to go. Next, we'll go into our level 5s. Again, another reason this deck can be pretty expensive is the promo Gurumon. Once per turn, if it has a Gurumon as its Digi-Evolution source, it unsuspends, which is just makes this deck have the potential to OTK. Why this deck is really good is having the Gurumon X Antibody under him and then just protecting him from his swing. And then he has an inheritable to security +1 if you have 8 or more cards in hand, which is why you want to have all the draw power you can, and why you want to cycle cards as much as possible and add cards to hand, is because you want to get that security +1. That way you can start killing your opponent faster. This deck can kill in 1 turn from a rookie if you have the right setup. Same thing with Alphamon, so that's why you really want to have that 8 cards, because you want to beat Alphamon. That is the deck to beat this format, in my opinion. So you want to have that potential, so you want to have this card at max. Then we play the one of the new promo Gurumon Sagittarius mode. It's really good because it can Digivolve on top of your Gurumon for free, and it's also treated as a Gurumon as its name, meaning that your Gurumon X Antibody can Digivolve on top of it for free, and giving the inheritable as the same as the Gurumon X Antibody, which means that you have another target. That way, if you don't see this one, you can hopefully see this one instead and still have that protection element. Which is really good. And plus, if you have a When Digivolving, if you have a Tamer in play, you can return 2 level 3 Digimon on your opponent's field to their hand, which, if they have a bunch of memory blockers or anything, like, this guy is really going to be your best friend. And then last, we have the Gurumon X Anybody at 3. Why it's at 3 is because you have so many search powers for X Anybody, and plus I always see this card in my hand at 3, that I feel like this is just fine. Plus it gives room for more cards that you want to see as well. But like I said, I normally always just find a way to have this in hand by the time I get into these other Garurumons. So I think 3 is just fine, and I wouldn't really change that. Obviously, you could go to 4 if you find the room for it, but personally, I think having the 3 of the X Anybody is just fine. And then to the level 6s, we just play the 2 EX1 MetalGarurumon. Having the ability to gain a memory for every 4 cards in your hand when it digivolves is really good. That means, like, if you just have 8 cards, it's a digivolve for 2. So if you go into your turn with only 3 memory, you can digivolve into him, go to 1, and then go into your MetalGarurumon X Anybody for 1, and basically just go off from there. And plus, having the ability to, when attacking, if you have 8 cards more in hand and a Tamer in play, to return and on deletion, it's really good against any kind of, like, on deletion deck, of course. Mainly like Billstar, where if they have their scatter mode on board, you can bottom deck it, and it's just, I think that effect's really good, because instead of destroying it or bouncing it for them to use later, you just get rid of it entirely, so they don't get that draw 3 trash 2, so they don't get the advantage that they need. It's really good. And then the last is 3 of the MetalGarurumon X Anybody. Digivolve for 1. When digivolving, it becomes a blocker and it unsuspends, so sometimes if you don't see your regular MetalGarurumon and you just digivolve on top of this, it at least still gets the blocker, and it unsuspends, so you at least, hopefully, just getting this guy out on board, you just prevent your opponent from killing you next turn anyway. So, really good with this. Also, if it has X Anybody, the option in its sources, or a MetalGarurumon, then it returns the lowest cost Digimon on the field, on your opponent's field, to their hand, which, if they only have one big stack, goodbye big stack. So, really good. Definitely the best card, in my opinion, in the deck, besides the promo Garurumon. They just, so much utility for it. It's amazing. And then we'll go into the option cards. For me, I like playing the 3 blue memory boost, just because you really need to see your pieces in this deck, and sometimes you don't start with exactly the right cards that you need in hand, and sometimes gaining 2 memory on the next turn helps you push for game. So you really want to play, like, at least 3 of this, in my opinion. I feel like in this format, you need to see your pieces before your opponent. So playing at least 3 memory boosts, whatever deck you're playing, I feel like 3 memory boosts, or some kind of just way to gain memory and a way to search cards, is just your priority in this deck, or, well, in any deck in this format, just because you want to see your cards. And next, we have 2 of the X Anybody option, where you draw so much, and basically your Cool Boy and your Goblins X Anybody all search this card. 2 is just fine. You could go to 3, but I would not play 4 or 1. 1, you'll never see it, and 4, it's just too much. You don't want to see it that much. So 2 or 3, definitely the perfect number. I like it at 2 just to make room for all the other pieces that I've shown you and will show you. So 2, just fine. And then the good old what keeps you from losing every matchup you play is a delicate plan. I was playing one of this, but never saw it when I needed it. So bumped it up to 2. I'm going to hope that this works. I think 2 should be just fine. That way it may make its way into security, and then you'll have it in your hand, or you'll draw into it. I just had too many cases where I would bottom deck this from all the other searching, so having another one that way, hopefully you don't bottom deck the other one, I think is just the right call. 2, I think, is just what you need in this deck in order to thrive. And then lastly, we'll get to the Tamers. Now, I play 3 Cool Boy. I've seen some lists where they would play 2 of this card, but even at 3, I don't see it as often as I really want to, because it also searches your key pieces. It searches your X antibodies, and it searches the X antibody options. So I think 3 is just right. You could bump up to 4, but I feel like that's almost too much. Because Black X Antibody, they can play 4 of this just because every card that they want to see is an X Antibody, but half of your deck here is not X Antibody traded, so you don't really need to focus on this card. You could go down to 2, but like I said, I just feel like I don't even see it enough, even at 3, so I really don't feel like cutting down on this. So 3, I think, is just the right amount. Then I play 2 Davis Motomia. Now, I was wanting to play 3 of this, but I was just where we do have the searchers in this deck and the memory gain currently, I think 2 is just fine. Definitely could go to 3 if you can make the room for it. Davis was definitely one of my cuts for an extra rookie, so I'm hoping that won't be a mistake, but so far, 2 Davis is kind of just like where I really want it to be. And then last, we have 2 Matt and Soras. Matt and Sora just has a really good ability to, again, get rid of any of the annoying memory chokers, or the memory stunners, like the level 3s that prevent you from gaining memory except for Tamers. Like, being able to unsuspend a Digimon and then suspend these to bounce a level 3 is really good, especially if they are the Tamer choking Digimon. And plus, being able to gain a memory if you have 8 or more cards in hand, and gaining another memory if your opponent has 8 or more is really good, considering your whole goal is wanting to get to that 8 or more threshold so you can kill your opponent. So more than likely you're going to have at least the 8 cards for yourself, so gaining at least 1 memory, and then on top of Cool Boy giving you a memory and drawing a card, you're hopefully going to just see your pieces that you're going to need. So that's why you draw so much that you can kind of not have to max out or go to 3 on a lot of these cards, because you're going to see a lot of them. But overall, that is the deck list from me. I definitely think this deck is really consistent. You do play all the searches that you really need, so you want to see, you basically do see all these cards. I, so far, have no problems with this deck. It definitely is not as consistent as Black X Antibody, but that's just because not every card in here is an X Antibody, so you can't search every card, but that's why we play as many searchers as we do, so we do find every card. But that is all for me. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this helps you with your deck building yourself for any kind of tournament or friendly game that you want to play, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.